Hello everyone, Kai Reviews here. Today we got Final Fantasy 16 to look at. Now, I have played like half of the Final Fantasy series, and beaten even half of that. They got some good ones, they got some bad ones, then they got the middle ones, and unfortunately, Final Fantasy 16 is somewhere between middle and good. I would give it a 7 out of 10. Put your scuba gear on, and let's dive. Gameplay is up first. Most Final Fantasy games are very tactical, with an ATB system which feels more like a turn-based game without actually being turn-based. This one, however, is just an action game, like actually just an action game. By the end of the game, you will get access to tons of powerful monster effects. You can have 3 active at once, with 2 powers from each monster that gives you a total of 6 abilities or spells you can use in one battle, which is fine for an action game. However, if you look at even Final Fantasy VII Remake they did a few years ago, you get like way more options. There's no character switching, not like it would do any good either, as your companions are cool in character, but I found them almost completely useless in battle. They don't even pull aggro, and just kinda stand around being useless like an American politician. Apart from the wolf. The wolf is cool and directly commanded by the player. You can even pet him, which is amazing. I only wish we had more quests to feed him, because he deserves everything. Even though the combat strays from their older titles, I did really enjoy it. Chaining your abilities together, using the right one at the right time, dodging a big blast, or just counter-attacking and interrupting the mob on top of a stagger system, it all just felt really nice and worked well together. Honestly, any fighting RPG games should be using this as a standard to break from. That said, I did find myself mostly just spamming the attack button, like every other fighting game ever made. Fighting the weaker mobs was fun, as your character auto-attacks the next mob, so spamming teleport right after defeated mob made me feel like the Flash with the sword. And who doesn't want to be the Flash with the sword? With plenty of mini-boss fights throughout the game, then the big bosses, there's just so much to fight here that most players will probably opt to skip some additional quests. Big story bosses, as one would expect, are very grand and just felt amazing to fight through. Now let's go over the story and the world a little bit. The story was great. You start as mostly just a weak dude trying to make his family happy with him, and ends with fighting literally God, much like one would expect in a Final Fantasy game. The story starts slow, with the first hour having 59 minutes of cutscenes. Sure, they're skippable, but it's a story RPG game. The story is kind of the point. And no, I did not actually count the time, it just felt like it dragged on and on and on until you made it to the hideaway. Then the game actually started. Google does say it takes 2 hours to get to the hideaway, so maybe I was being generous with my previous statement. The old meme of bring a bag of popcorn to play Metal Gear games definitely fit here, although pizza is better. The world is well crafted, and does a decent enough job of telling and showing you when an econ is or when an Akashic does. With a quick middle of scene pause to read about the lore, there's plenty to read through and delve into. If you like your RPG story-driven game spoon-fed to you, you might not like this as much. I do think if you like this genre, then there is as little or as much content to bite into as you want. The option is yours, and that is great. I will be going more into this at the end to avoid spoilers here. For now though, we gotta talk about the visuals. Now, I played this on PC with pretty good guts, and the graphics were honestly probably the best I've seen on PC. Last console I played on was the PlayStation 4, and this was just so much better. I often found myself just looking at something and thinking, damn, that's good. Plus the cutscenes are damn flawless. Anything to do with the main story felt fully fleshed out with animations from storms to rivers. It just felt nice. Apart from the sword clipping into and out of the scabbard. That's just lazy, but I mean, every game does it. Side quests were, well, awkward. odd standing around, odd character movement with sudden starts and stops. It just felt a little dated. Like, whatever team designed these side quests forgot it was 2025 and not 2015. Let's be real though, that happens to the best of us. Can't believe it's 2025 already. Moving on, we gotta talk about the audio. Now, Final Fantasy is well known for their great audio, and I am happy to say this one does not let down. Plenty of songs to fill any mood, with great English voice acting and combat sounds that were just so good. Everything just looked and sounded so alive. It is no surprise that they sell Final Fantasy game soundtracks. Time for my final thoughts. Just note, I will be going into some spoilers here. If you want to bail out and play the game yourself, I would recommend it, so go play it. 7 out of 10. However, if you don't mind spoilers, then stay tuned. The story leading up to fighting God was amazing. The different villains and their life goals felt so real, not Titans. With epic powers and great characters you want to either love or hate, it was just good. However, after the final battle, Clive, the main character, absorbs God and destroys all magic and dies. I get it, it's the namesake, it's the final in Final Fantasy. But I don't know man, I just felt so let down. The whole story is about Clive fighting for a world where people can live in peace, and he does that at the cost that makes everything living in that world cool. The last scene is 2 kids trying to make a fire with sticks and stones. Bruh, that's so damn lame. Near the ending, I felt like the character actions stopped making sense. Character Dion leaves his lover, story-wise, weeks before he dies. Then the love interest gives up her powers, just like Dion did. Yet, Dion can still transform, and the love interest just stays behind. Then cries when she realizes Clive died. Why the hell didn't you help him? I don't understand. I know, she was sick and dying and blah blah blah. He literally died though, after saving the world. So did everyone else who fought God at the end. I just don't know. It does not sit well with me. Throwing your loved one off a cliff, then getting all sad when they die. You could have done something. One of his other friends had super beast powers, so they couldn't fight God, but she could have. I was also pretty let down when you go on a quest, a long side quest, to help a character build a flying ship. Hell yeah, flying ship. Only for the character to then decide such a creation would only cause more harm than good and gives up on it. Okay, more dilemma about creation versus destruction, I get it. But I didn't like it. I feel like flying ships are a standard in Final Fantasy games, and they just kinda tease us with it and said, never mind, lol. Crafting and upgrade system left a lot to be desired. None of the bloody pelts or magical ash or whatever turned into anything. I think I could sell them, but they were also used to craft some of the early items, but by the time you're even looking into upgrading anything, it is all just useless. I couldn't help but ask myself, why? Why is this a mechanic at all? The good items always required something extra, like the previous version of a weapon, or a dark steel, or an orichalcum, or something of the sort, which was fine, but I feel like it is a whole system within the game that did not improve the game at all. It would have been the same game without it, and it's barely used for anything. The last thing I really want to mention is the performance. Throughout my video, you may or may not have noticed some lag spikes or frame skips. I reduced graphics a little and recorded on an RTX 3080. This game was originally made for the PlayStation 5, but the optimization for PC is just meh. It only really happened when changing locations or starting big fights. It didn't really bother me much, but I couldn't call this a review without mentioning it. Do note that the performance dropped in-game was like 1/10 as bad as the recording performance. In-game I barely noticed, but on the recording video, it sticks out like a cosplayer at a McDonald's. If this was a game with any other name, I would probably have given it a 9 out of 10. However, it carries the name Final Fantasy XVI, and with that, a certain legacy. I would not expect Tekken 16 to turn into a turn-based strategy game, but who knows, we might get there. Even though it was not what I expected, I still fully enjoyed the game. I feel like this would have been better if they did not attach Final Fantasy to it, but then they wouldn't have gotten nearly as many sales, probably. However, I just can't give this a rating higher than a 7. It was good, not great. If you see a sale and got a few dozen hours to play, pick this up and enjoy.
Excuse me.
Thank you for watching. I've said all I really have to say on this. If you made it this far, then hats off to you. Comment any thoughts you guys might have, and I'll see you down the path, gamer.